Vitaly Bakharden served as a soldier at the USSR's Semipalatinsk nuclear test site in Kazakhstan from 1961 to 1964. This excerpt is from the biography of his experience at the site and specifically describes the trip he went on as a new and inexperienced soldier. Please note that the term seniors refers to more experienced servicemen. The excerpt is as follows. I don't know why, but they sent us on our mission not in the morning, but right after lunch. A small bus based on a Gaz-51 was brought to the barracks building. When entering the cabin, each recruit sought to take a seat by the window to better view the surroundings. I was lucky to be one of the first on the bus, so I managed to register my place at the window. Seeing with what envy my neighbor looks at me, I calmed him down, promising to give him the opportunity to sit in my place. Several seniors had to go with us to the point. If we were dressed in the usual winter uniform, jackets, hats with ear flaps, and boots on our feet, then those guys, and the driver too, were equipped heavily. They had felt boots on their feet, and on top, white, tan sheepskin coats. Surprisingly, none of them took advantage of their seniority to sit by the window. On the contrary, they silently, but with barely noticeable mockery, watched our disputes. They sat in the front, next to the driver. One did not have enough space, but instead of taking a seat away from a younger soldier, he opted to sit at the exit of the bus, right on the step. It will not be more than an hour after the start of the trip, and we will all understand the reason for the seniors' choice of seating. And it consisted of the following. It was a sunny but frosty January day. As I remember, the wind was calm, but the air temperature did not exceed -15 degrees. Inside the bus, next to the driver, was a homemade electric stove. Thanks to it, as well as the heat generated by the passengers, the temperature inside the cabin significantly exceeded the temperature outside it, and therefore the moisture from the breath of people settled on the cold glass windows, turning into ice crystals. The bus had not yet driven away from the barracks, and all the glass in the cabin was already covered with a solid white veil. Its thickness over time only increased. In the first 15 to 20 minutes of driving, I constantly thought a small hole in the glass to peer through at the landscapes passing by. Then this occupation got tired, as there was nothing outside the window to look at. A snow-covered plain, sparkling in the sun, stretched almost to the horizon, the whiteness of which was only occasionally disturbed by the gray color of telephone poles floating by. Despite the stove, the cabin was more than cool. The cold penetrated into the bus not only through the glass, but also the skin. Less than half an hour from the beginning of the trip, I felt that both my legs and my right side were starting to chill, and after another half an hour, numb. No movement helped to keep them warm. It was then that it dawned on me, and not only me, why the seniors did not seek to take their seats at the windows. I suggested to my neighbor to switch places, but of course he refused, as he was already freezing. Not only I was in distress, but all the other lucky ones who took their seats at the windows. Soon many of us began to leave our homes, preferring to stand in the aisle. But even there, everyone tried to get closer to the driver, or rather to the stove which was near him. The beginning of the change of seats caused good jokes from the more experienced men. After a couple of hours of driving, through the windshield of the bus, it became clear that the flat terrain was changing to hilly. Gradually, the hills were replaced by low, rocky mountains, probably the spurs of the Kazakh upland. We arrived at the site at sunset to a group of military-type buildings scattered in the hollow of some low mountains. Immediately, we were led into our barracks. It was an ordinary barrack, recessed almost to the very windows into the ground to conserve heat, furnished with ordinary bunk beds. We were quite surprised when we saw that we, the new and inexperienced soldiers, were being accommodated on the lower bunks. We tried to find out from the older servicemen why we were being given such an honor, but they, grinning, said only that "you will understand at night."